Today's video is kindly sponsored by Squarespace. Good morning, friends, and welcome to another installment of the Dissertation Diaries. I am sorry to leave you on a little bit of a cliffhanger with that introduction, but don't you worry, the announcement will be pretty soon into this video. But on this particular day, I was already feeling quite drained. I got out of bed and got ready for the day and had my morning moo time. This is just some time to pet and hang out with Moosif before getting started for the day. I just feel like she gets neglected while we're all studying or working all day long, and so just give her a little bit of attention first thing in the morning. What's that? We have been very luckily blessed with a few blue sky days here in London as spring has begun to arrive. However, it was followed up by several gray days, so we gotta take it while we can. I make up my matcha jasmine tea latte, which has been my favorite recently. I just make up some jasmine tea, mix up my matcha, and then just combine that with a little bit of oat milk over ice. And this is one of my favorite caffeinated treats, and it's been a wonderful addition to my day-to-day instead of having coffee to fuel my writing routine. So this is my go-to. And now it is time to go ahead and sit down to begin my admin. So I do a daily reset routine pretty much every single day. So I go into my planner and check my tasks and go into Notion. I check my monthly and my weekly goals in order to go ahead and make sure that I am prioritizing my long-term goals, but also thinking about what it is that I need to prioritize that day. At the moment, I'm really focused on hitting inbox 0 first thing in the day, so that way I can focus on my dissertation and have less distraction. I also set between 2 and 3 priorities. At the moment, it looks more like 2 priorities, so it'll be my dissertation and making progress on that, and then perhaps one other big admin task or something related to my YouTube channel or my business, Accepted Society. And then it's time to go ahead and jump straight into notes and working on my dissertation. As you can see, I have multiple documents open on my screen. Having a wide screen definitely makes that easier. However, what is not easy is writing. I have been struggling with writing pretty much this entire time, and whenever I am feeling a little hung up on the words and just feeling like it's not good enough, then I typically try to go back to the literature or go back to my notes to seek out inspiration. I find that especially with submitting this chapter, I have been really struggling with perfectionism and just feeling like it's such a daunting task to submit something as important as a dissertation chapter. It oddly just feels different than submitting something for a class. It feels more permanent, it feels more important, and so I've been trying to jump back and forth between writing and going into the literature that I find inspiring and that helps get the ideas flowing. So I go ahead and open Warren Billings' book on 17th century Virginia for some inspo, and I'm just looking through the sources because he has a bunch of different documents that he's pulled and has a little bit of analysis with each of them. And I go ahead and jot some of my ideas down. Sometimes I will use a digital platform like Scrintal or Milanote or Notion, for example, but today I just really felt like I needed to just get words down on paper and use a traditional pen and paper. As you can see, I put in the notes here that this book is quite damaged. It was actually left in my apartment in New Haven, the first one that I stayed in, and it was left there over winter break that first year of my PhD, and so it got some water damage. But if you're interested in how it is that I take my notes and how it is that I actually read these texts to be efficient, but also specifically to gain insights for my writing, then I definitely recommend checking out my How to Read video. It's one of my most popular videos on the channel, and I do highly recommend it because it does go through my process rather than trying to describe it all in this video. But after a couple hours of that, I really needed a lunch break and to just rest my brain for a little while. And while I am heating up some leftovers, I always try to do some little house admin tasks like doing the dishes and just trying to get things cleaned up so that way we don't have too much to worry about later. And now for a quick message about the sponsor of today's video, which is Squarespace. Squarespace is an online website builder where you can create and edit a website from scratch or using a template with no coding experience necessary. With features which allow you to customize fonts, colors, and add a variety of blocks, images, and videos, you can make your website entirely your own. And I've used Squarespace for about 5 years to operate my personal website as well as my online businesses. And here's just a small glimpse into how I use Squarespace to showcase my digital brand coaching services and embedding links to my videos and courses. With Squarespace, you have access to comprehensive analytics and e-commerce tools, making creating a website and an online business seamless. If you're interested in checking out Squarespace for yourself, go ahead and use the discount code in the description below for a discount on your website subscription or domain. Now let's head on back to the video. I am having such a bad imposter syndrome day, and I'm gonna try to not get upset. I have been trying to work on this one paragraph and I just keep getting in this perfectionism spiral. And I know I'm gonna get through it and it's gonna be totally fine and I'm gonna get this chapter done. But I also got just a bunch of hate comments yesterday. And when I get a lot of hate comments, it makes me not want to post. It makes me not want to share the experience. And the thing that I find really frustrating about it is that most of the comments are like, you're not a real PhD student if you're not working 50 to 70 hours a week. And if you're not reading every waking minute of the day, then you obviously aren't committed enough. And it's not like I haven't heard this before. I mean, I used to be a professional athlete, in which case the messaging was if you are not, training 24/7 and if you aren't 100% dedicated to the sport, then you obviously aren't trying hard enough. And I know that's just social conditioning. It's just how it goes. But it's just really hard to get that out of your head when you're trying to write and you're also just trying to do a good job. And I feel like I'm trying really hard. And I know I am. And the thing that's frustrating to me is that I have always, ever since I was 12, have always had other jobs and other things pulling my attention, and I've always gotten my work done, and I always try to do the best work that I possibly can. And I create these videos because there's nobody that was recording the PhD experience when I was in graduate school or like when I was a transfer student. The only PhD student that I found was Simon Clark back in the day, and I want to document the experience so that way people can see that you can in fact have a balanced life and you can enjoy the process. But I just hate the mentality that if you aren't suffering, if you aren't absolutely miserable, then you're obviously not doing it right. And I hate that. And it's getting in the way of my writing today. It's just getting in my head. And I know that that's just how it goes. But I'm really frustrated. And so I'm just gonna take a step away from the computer for 20 minutes. I'm gonna read my fun little fantasy novel. I've been really enjoying this. And I'm gonna eat some leftovers. And it'll be fine. But it's just one of those days. And that's fine. So if you feel like your research isn't good enough or you feel like you're not working hard enough, the best you can do is your best. And I'm doing my best.
Congratulations. Well done, you. It was absolutely brilliant.
Oh my god, I'm so relieved. That means I have funding and a visa.
That is fantastic.
We got into Cambridge.
There you go. You're a right grab bag of all the world's smartest universities.
What the
Oxford,
hell?
Cambridge, Yale, UCLA.
Oh my god. Sorry, you're in your meeting.
It's okay. That's worth it for a meeting.
Oh my god.
Thank you, thank you. Achoo.
This dog is trying to make me jealous. Why do you look at him that way? And not me?
Yeah, there it is. Who's a good girl? Who's a good girl?
Moose, if you little ham. Well, I have some exciting news, which is that I got the Fox Fellowship, and I will be studying at Cambridge next year and finishing my PhD with full funding and with a visa. I will give more updates on what that actually looks like when I have more of the logistics, but basically all of my concerns about staying in the UK and having a visa and finishing up the PhD with funding without having to go back to New Haven have all been figured out in one fell swoop. This also means that I don't have to apply for any more fellowships because I have funding for next year. I am absolutely shocked that I got it, if that wasn't already obvious based on my reaction, but I just figured that it's a really competitive fellowship, and I have studied in the UK before, so I didn't really think that I would get the opportunity, but I got the fellowship and I'm so thrilled. And we got a little boba to celebrate, and now I'm gonna keep working on my dissertation because my spirits have been lifted. I was feeling quite down earlier, but now we get to stay in the UK, we secured a visa, we secured funding, and it is time to write the best dissertation that I can. Surprisingly, I got a good night's sleep. and because I got into bed a little bit early last night. I read my book. I feel refreshed and ready to go, but my partner and I are going on a run. It's 7, and so I figured that I would get up this morning and put in, you know, like an hour and a half of writing before my run, before getting ready. So that way I still have like a nice full day of dissertation work. And that is my update. I got my tea. Let's write us a dissertation, shall we? Now here's reality check, Kaelyn, to tell you that this 5 a.m. wake up did not work in my favor. I've been trying to experiment with different times for writing on my dissertation because I do find that in the middle of the day I am really unproductive and my brain just can't seem to come up with ideas. And so I figured I would return to the schedule that I had started over the winter, where I was waking up really early and studying with Kate. And I will tell you that I did get quite a bit done, but then after this long walk with my partner and Moo at around 7 a.m., I had nothing left in the tank. I came home and was feeling so drained, but decided that instead of going to my desk and forcing it, I would go ahead and begin the day while working on the couch and getting some reading done. And I did get quite a bit done. However, I was flagging by the middle of the day. And I don't just think this is because I woke up at 5 a.m. I will say that this week in particular, as you'll see, was just really difficult. I was dealing with a lot of emotions as well as a lot of relief from hearing about the fellowship, and decided that by about midday I was just going to call it quits. I was just feeling really fried, and as I say in the note here, I normally would avoid showing this part of my day and when I go ahead and rest, but I just don't think that there are enough examples of actually seeing rest being performed online, and so I just wanted to show you that I took the afternoon and the evening off, and I watched a documentary with my partner to recharge. Good morning, friends. It is the next day. I did not get any more work done yesterday. I was honestly feeling so fried and just needed to decompress. So we finished the Ken Burns documentary on the Roosevelts, which is like, I think it's like 6 episodes. It's very long, but it's really good. Eleanor Roosevelt, what a class act. But I am so wanting to procrastinate my dissertation today. I just feel a bit mentally drained. However, I joined the Accepted Society study session. Kate's running it today, so I'm just gonna hang out with the Accepted Society members, get some work done, and see what we can manage to accomplish. I've got my cup of tea, so therefore, as I always say, anything is possible. I combined some of my rooibos tea with my black tea this morning, and the combination is delightful. Time to stop procrastinating, time to face up with my dissertation. I also need to head into town in about 2 hours, and so that means that I need to get as much writing done as I can before then, and then I'm going to be doing some primary source and secondary source analysis while I'm out because I find it really difficult to write in public. So enough talking, enough ranting, time to get to work. I'm recording the next bit from my phone, which does not have as good a quality as my camera, but I do not want to carry a bunch of things out into town. I'm actually going and meeting up with Sienna. Sienna is somebody who also makes YouTube content, and she moved to London, I think about a year before I did, and I've been really wanting to meet her, and so we're gonna grab lunch, and then I'm trying to decide whether or not I'll actually stay in town. I grabbed my books so that way I can, but I'm feeling so drained after writing. I got a lot of words on paper, which is wonderful, but I am feeling so drained. So I'm trying to decide whether or not I'll stay in town, but I'll just see how I'm feeling and I'll check in a bit, but let's head on over to Covent Garden. I decided not to go home. I decided to just stay in town. So I got a little coffee and I'm at Foyle's and have a couple of books that I found. I found The History of Emotions. I've been wanting to read this one for so long. And I also have The History of the Humanities. And I'm just wandering around the history section. Normally I wander around the fantasy section, but we're going back to our roots. Or should I say afternoon, because I have not checked in this morning, but I am getting to work on the dissertation. I finally feel like I have my energy back. I don't know what it was, but after I got news about the fellowship, my energy plummeted. And I think it's honestly just that. The stress of trying to figure out visas and how to stay in the UK lifted off of my shoulders, but I need to write a fair bit of this dissertation in order to reach my writing goal and get on track. I tend to write articles and papers chronologically, and that becomes a problem when the introduction is the part that I tend to agonize over the most. But I keep reminding myself that I've done this before. I have written a thesis, I've written a dissertation for my master's degree, I've written countless papers in my time, and whenever I have that feeling like there's no way I can get this done and I don't know what I'm gonna do, I try to remind myself of that. I try to remind myself that once upon a time I did this before and I can do it again. So let's finish off this week with a very strong dissertation writing day. I might message Kate and see if she's also working so that I can co-work with someone. this is actually it for the vlog, and I just wanted to say a quick note of gratitude because I have been sharing my journey as a graduate student since I started my master's at Oxford, and that was about 5 years ago. And now receiving a fellowship and writing a dissertation and going through this process publicly on YouTube has just been such a blessing, getting to see the ups and the downs and share it with you. And I really honestly appreciate every single comment that I receive. If you don't get an immediate response, just know that I do see your comments and I do appreciate all of your kindness and your support and getting to hear your own journey and hearing a little bit about your work. And so I just wanted to say a little note of gratitude, and obviously gratitude to the committee for giving me access to this funding and this opportunity to study at Cambridge next year and to finish my dissertation. I just feel so incredibly privileged by the opportunities that I've had and getting to share it with you all. So that is it for today's video, and please remember to check out Squarespace, and the link in the description will give you access to a discount on your web subscription or domain. And thank you again to the team at Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I'll see you in the next one, folks.